What's up, guys? So today's video is going to be a review of the new Kat Von D contour palette and the new NYX contour palette. I asked you guys on Snapchat what you wanted to see, and this was the most highly requested, so I figured I would just show them both in the same video because they came out around the same time, and I've been using these long enough to where I know how I feel about them, so I figured let's do it in one video. I've already filmed this video once, and when I went to edit the footage, half of it just disappeared and I legit almost cried. I was so upset. So second time's a charm. We're gonna go with that. Let's do it. So I'm gonna start with the NYX palette. If I look down, it's because my viewfinder is right here and I don't wanna blind you with the packaging because my ring light can like reflect sometimes. So if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. But I'm gonna start with the new NYX palette. This is their Highlight and Contour Pro palette. So it comes with 4 highlight and 4 contour shades. Starting on the highlight row over here, first color is a shimmery pearl, so you can use for the tops of the cheekbones. Then the next color is matte. It's a matte beige. Then the third color is a matte banana. And the last color is more of a shimmery peach highlight. So you have 2 highlights and 2 matte colors, more for setting concealer. Then on the contour row, the first color you have is a really warm terracotta shade, and all of these are matte on the contour. Then the next one is a little bit darker. It's more of a saddle brown, but it's still pretty warm. Then the third brown is more of a neutral, cool toned. This is going to provide the most shadow-like definition if you really want like sunken in cheeks or you're trying to slim your face or define it. This would be the color I would use. And then the last color is a dark chocolate color. This is a refillable palette. The pans pop in and out, but they're not magnetic. But you can get these in whatever colors you want and refill them if you run out, so that way you don't have to buy the whole palette, which is nice. And if you buy the whole palette, it's $24.99. Now, as far as my thoughts on the palette, I was really excited to try it because it's a contour palette at the drugstore. It's refillable. The concept was just like blew my mind. But I was kind of surprised it was $24.99 because as a drugstore product, I would have expected it to be $10 or $15. But it's a really good deal for 8 different shadows, and it still is cheaper than like the Anastasia contour palette or the Kat Von D palette that I'm going to talk about. However, I don't think it's worth the price. The issue I ran into with this palette is the formula of the powders. They're very powdery and really hard to blend. When you stick a brush into the product, it's very pigmented, and then once you put it on the face, it's just muddy. I tried to use this color first when I first tried out the palette, the second contour color, and this is the one I thought I would like the most, and it's the one I probably disliked the most just because when I put it on my face, it was just like, that's where the product was staying. It was really pigmented. It looked like I just stamped brown on my cheeks and I could not blend it out. So that was really disappointing. Out of the contour colors, this one would be my favorite. This one isn't as bad as the rest of them. But the first one's too warm for me, this one's too powdery, and the last one's just too dark. So out of the contour shades, this was the only one that I semi-liked, but the formula is just really powdery. Then for the highlight colors, I do really like the banana color. I think it's really pretty. It's a great alternative to the high-end powders to set your concealer, and I'll even mix a little bit of the beige sometimes right here if I'm more on my normal skin tone. Like right now I'm not self-tanned, so I can wear a little bit of both of them. They are a little bit powdery, but it's the best setting powder I found at the drugstore for concealer. So these two aren't so bad. This highlight I find isn't extremely pigmented, the peachy one. And the first highlight right here is pretty. I just think it's a little bit too light for my skin tone. I would recommend it for more fair skin tones. But as a palette, I honestly just don't think it's worth it. I would save the extra $15, $20 and invest in Anastasia or Kat Von D that I'm going to show you in a second. I had really high standards because I love NYX products, but this just did not do it for me. So if you're wanting a palette as a whole, I would hold out on this product. But if you're looking for maybe just the banana shade, then I would try that. Moving on to Kat Von D. This is her new Shade and Light Contour palette, and it comes with 6 different colors. I've been using it for a few weeks, and I really, really like it. I haven't been this excited for a contour palette since the Anastasia ones come out, so that's saying a lot for me. I really like that all of the names of the colors are on the back of the palette because, like with the Anastasia ones, you have to pop them in and out unless you know, and That just honestly annoys me most of the time, but I love that these names are on the back, so if I'm using it in a tutorial or anything, like I know exactly what I'm using, so that was a plus for me. But this palette is not refillable. You can't pop these in and out. They don't sell the refills. For this palette, you have to buy it as a whole. So I'm going to start with the highlight shades on top, and unlike the NYX palette, this one is completely matte. There's no shimmer in any of the powders. So the first highlight shade you get is a matte beige. It's not quite as white as emphasized for MAC, so I feel like this is a good alternative because it's not quite stark white if you're familiar with that powder. Then the next color is the banana shade, and then the last color is a matte peach, so for more tan skin tones, and the names of these are Levitation, Lyric, and Lucid. Can you imagine how many times I had to film this to get those right? The banana shade is my favorite. I love it so much. It's right on par with Banana from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I love it for setting my concealer. And today I mixed the banana and the matte beige, and I kind of put the beige more towards the inner corner, so it was a little bit brighter in that area. And this color I also love, love, love. Like, these two are amazing. Moving on to the contour colors, the first one is the most cool toned out of all of them, and it's the lightest color, and this one is called Subconscious. Really, really pretty because it's got the right amount of gray undertones in it, so it's going to look like a shadow when you're contouring the cheekbones. The next color is called Shadow Play, and this is the one that I get the most use out of. I feel like it's the most universal in the palette, and it's going to fit a lot of skin tones. It reminds me of Java from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is my favorite contour color, and this is what I have. I use this to contour and really bronze the face. I like it because it's a good neutral brown, but it still has warmth to it, so it's not as gray and neutral as the first color, because in real life, day to day, if you use a contour color that's too gray, it can look really weird in person. On camera, in videos, in photography, it looks amazing. Gray contours look fabulous, but in day-to-day life, gray can look a little bit odd if you just have a really gray contour on your face. So I like this one because it's not too gray, but it's not too warm to where it just looks like an Oompa Loompa, or it's, you know, not really doing much for your face. So I like this because it's like the perfect neutral contour for me. So I use this one to contour, and I also used a little bit of the darkest color in the palette, which is called Sombre. And to be honest with you, I didn't think I would get any use out of this color because it is a dark chocolate in person, but when you swatch it, it doesn't swatch quite as dark. So it's a good thing for me, but it could be a bad thing if you were hoping it was that dark, like if you're really tan to ebony skin tones and you're wanting something really dark. I don't know if this will be quite dark enough. I do have, if you can see, like right here, I use the dark color just to define my contour a little bit more, and I'm not self-tanned and I can use this color. I love that this palette is so universal. I've used every single color in here except for the peach highlight color, and they're just gorgeous to work with. They're really easy to blend and they're really creamy. They are a lot more powdery than the Anastasia ones, so as far as formula goes, I do prefer the Anastasia formula because it's a little bit stiffer. But since these are a little bit creamier, they make it a lot easier to blend. So if you mess up or if you add too much product, these are really easy to buff out, which is really impressive because when you're learning to contour, and even when you know how to contour, it can still get tricky. And we all have those days where we're really heavy-handed and you're like, whoa, Amanda, slow down, and you put too much contour on or too much bronzer on, and this makes it really easy just to buff out. So it's really user-friendly. I mean, that's just a little bit of a swipe. You can see how creamy, and I can just blend it into my fingertips and it looks like your skin. This contour palette just looks like your skin and it is gorgeous. So if you're on the fence about this palette, I say get it. Live a little. It's beautiful, and I think it's completely worth it. So that's my review of the two palettes. I hope you guys liked the video, and it'll be helpful for some of you guys who have been thinking about trying any of them out. Let me know in the comments if you've tried either of these palettes. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know down below in the comments, and also let me know if there's anything in particular you want to see swatches or a review of, whether it's a new lipstick line, foundation, eyeshadows, anything. Let me know down below because I'm trying to step up my review game so I can have a good balance of tutorials and reviews, because I always lean towards tutorials because they're my favorite, but if there are things you want to see me review, let me know because I haven't been doing many and I really do miss them, so let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video.